Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Week 2 of NFL Dynasty Football Picks. This is Chris Harris with our hosts Joel, Alex, and Phil. We're coming off an exciting Week 1 of football. We've seen some surprises, we've seen some upsets, we've seen some blowouts, we've seen some late comebacks, and we've seen some close games on Thursday, Saturday, and 2 very good games on Monday. That being said, we're changing up our format this week a little bit. Instead of talking about every single game in detail, we're only going to pick 5 games to talk about in detail and give you the rest of our picks in very brief segments just so you can follow along and pick against us. And we're going to start off by talking about our first game of the week, Buffalo at Oakland. So with Buffalo and Oakland, we have Joe here, Alex, and Philip picking Oakland, whereas Chris, the right choice, picked Buffalo to upset Oakland at home. For Kansas City and Detroit, we have Joel, Alex, and Phil once again picking Detroit, where Chris decides he's going to do the smart money and go with Kansas City. Now to talk a little bit more about detail, we have Phil, who is going to talk about Chicago at New Orleans.
Chicago surprised me last week, beating Atlanta kind of handedly. I don't see them going through the NFC South that easily, so I'm going to pick New Orleans over Chicago.
Okay, let me tell you something. New Orleans played a very close game against Green Bay. I think they were trying to play catch-up at too late in the game, which is the reason how come I think they lost to the Green Bay Packers. Besides that, I think they're a very good team who, if they face Green Bay again, can defeat the Green Bay Packers. They're going up against the Chicago team who had a very good standing against Atlanta last week, but I'm not necessarily showing, I'm sure that's showing Chicago being a better team than Atlanta, or Atlanta just being a worse team than they were last year. Okay, I think they deteriorated a lot. Therefore, I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints to come back and defeat the Chicago Bears in a bit of a blowout.
I don't see a blowout. I see a good game here, a shootout. I got the Bears winning against the Saints. I saw the line breaking down on the Saints last week. He got sacked 3 times. Drew Brees got sacked 3 times. I mean, he still had a good game. He threw 419 yards, but I see Jay Cutler doing better than Drew Brees this week.
To close it out with New Orleans winning. Actually, I picked the right pick last week. The upset of the week, Chicago over Atlanta. And it all worked out in my favor. But this week I'm going to pick New Orleans at favorite at home. Mostly because they're at home, and I don't think New Orleans is. I don't think their defense is as bad as they looked against Green Bay. I just think Green Bay's offense is just that great. And, New Orleans.
That was interesting. You said upset of the week. In my opinion, the upset of the week was Washington beating New York Giants. I
thought it was Tampa Bay losing to Detroit.
And some people might argue it was Jacksonville beating Tennessee. I personally say Washington beating the New York Giants. That was an upset because I didn't see that coming. I predicted Washington Redskins go 0-6. But I was wrong.
Was Houston and Colts.
No, that was definitely not upset. Maybe
I couldn't even say it with a straight face. I'm sorry.
And it pains me to say this, but maybe Baltimore defeating Pittsburgh the way they did was a bit of a shocker. And I can't wait to the rematch of that because I have a feeling it's going to be a little different next time. Okay, for the Baltimore Ravens.
Don't turn on the football.
I don't disagree, but it's too early to make picks on that.
Speaking of the Baltimore Ravens, they go to Tennessee and to play them, and all 4 of us have decided the Ravens are going to defeat the Titans next week. The Cleveland Browns face the Indianapolis Colts next week in a game of, I believe somebody said last week, the Toilet Bowl. Indianapolis Colts was picked by Joel, myself, and Phil. Alex says the Cleveland Browns should go ahead and take that one, continuing Indianapolis' troubles. Arizona and Washington Redskins. We're going to talk a little bit more in depth about this one. The Cardinals at Washington.
I'm going to pick Washington. It surprised me with the running game, and although I still do not believe Rex Grossman can manufacture drives, he has good enough receivers that when he gets in trouble, he can lob it 39 yards, throw it to Anthony Armstrong, who if you put the ball 3 yards around either one of his hands, there's a 90% chance he's going to catch it. Kevin Cobb does have Larry Fitzgerald. I just going to pick Washington over Arizona.
That is really interesting. I'm going to go with Arizona Cardinals. I'm not convinced yet that the Washington Redskins are a team that's going to be contender this year. I'm convinced that they're a better team than I predicted. I said they were going to end up 4-10. I was wrong. 5-11. The Washington Redskins will actually be a threat to some people in upsetting them to the point where it comes to the fourth quarter, they might actually look like they're going to win, but they'll lose. I think the New York Giants were just a horrible team last week. I mean, horrible. Eli showed his inconsistency. I blame myself for that loss because I should have known that Eli was going to screw it up, okay? But he's not going to have this, Washington's not going to have the same luck with Arizona Cardinals. Kevin Cobb and Cardinals win this one.
I got Washington beating Arizona. I mean, Kevin Cobb did a good job, you know. He threw for 309 yards. I think Tim Hightower is going to have a better run game in this game than he did against the Giants. Rex Grossman convinced me. I think he's a good quarterback, and he did a good job. So I got the Redskins beating Arizona.
I'm going to have to strongly disagree with Chris here. And, mostly because, for a few reasons. First of all, Washington is at home in this game. They actually beat a perennial playoff team.
They're playing Washington.
Arizona.
They're playing in Washington? Are they playing in Washington, D.C.? You said they're at home.
Yes, they're at home.
Landover, Maryland.
Oh, Landover. Oh, okay. The Landover Killers.
Same thing. What else? I think Arizona's, I mean, they were playing Carolina, and Carolina actually won that game, and they allowed Cam Newton, a rookie, who I do like, but they allowed him to throw for 422 yards, which I think Russ Grossman is, at this point, a better passer with more experience, and I think he's going to shred that defense. So yeah, I think it's pretty much equal offenses, and the Redskins have a better defense, and they're at home. So put those pieces together, it comes out with a Redskins victory.
Wow. Okay, well, there you have it. 3 people for Washington. I think Arizona. This is the 3rd time so far this week that I was the lone man out, and that's going to prove very beneficial for me come Sunday. But on to the next game, Tampa Bay and Minnesota. We have Joe, myself, and Alex going with Minnesota, and Phil this time being the oddball out, going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. When Jacksonville goes to New York next week to face the Jets, Joe, myself, Alex, and Phil all agree that the New York Jets should definitely take over the Jacksonville Jaguars next week in that game and defeat them. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about the Houston-Miami game. Houston is visiting Miami, and Phil's going to tell us what he thinks.
Hard to pick against the Houston offense. Miami showed pretty well against New England Monday night. Came up in a losing effort. I see that continuing against Houston.
Houston played a great game last week. Let me tell you, they were unbelievable. They showed you that they are definitely a team that can win their division. They showed you they're a team that can go to the playoffs. They showed you they were a team that can go to the AFC Championship. Why? Because they played the Indianapolis Colts. They're not playing the Indianapolis Colts this week. They're playing the Miami Dolphins, who had, even though people keep talking about how well Tom Brady and the New England Patriots did, let me tell you something, they did a stellar job. They actually did very good on offense. And I think their offense that lost to the New England Patriots is good enough to beat the Houston Texans next week. And that's why I'm going with the Miami Dolphins.
I got Houston winning this one. I don't think Miami has anybody to stop Andre Johnson. They got to keep pressure on Matt Shaw in order for them, to actually win. I don't see that happening. I got Houston winning this one.
I'm picking Houston as well. Houston and
Miami.
yeah, Houston. I got Houston beating Miami. Miami actually had a good showing. Chad Henne over 400 yards. Houston's defense finished last year, but in defense, but I don't know. I think Houston offensively is just going to overpower Miami. They gave up 517 yards passing to Tom Brady. Tom Brady is a great quarterback, but 517 yards is pretty outstanding.
Yeah.
And Miami was a big disappointment last week, so I had to go with Houston here.
And piggyback off what you said, Alex, Miami does have Cameron Wake, who pressured Tom Brady pretty well in the Monday night game. There was a highlight reel of him and Nick Sotto going at it back and forth, and Cameron Wake pretty much got in there a good bit of the time. Matt Schaub is not nowhere near as good as Tom Brady, but he is systematic. As soon as he sees Cameron Wake coming off that side, he's just going to throw the ball up. And it's not going to be a Rex Grossman throw down the middle to the ground. He's going to get it to something.
All right, that being said, looks like another one where I'm the lone man out. Man, this is going to be a good week for me. Let's talk about a game that I think is a very important game. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I think I'm going to say the name y'all automatically going to know. Seattle Seahawks versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right. I said the Pittsburgh Steelers. All three of them agree with me. They know the future Super Bowl champions. Okay. All right. From the AFC champions to the Super Bowl champions, Green Bay goes to Carolina, who had an impressive week, to face the Carolina Panthers, and all four of us also picked the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers. I'm sorry, to beat the Carolina Panthers. All right, and then we're going to go to San Diego against the aforementioned New England Patriots.
Whew. It's always a toss-up when these two teams play. I changed that. San Diego always starts slow. For that, I picked New England over San Diego. If it was later on in the season when San Diego just customarily comes out of nowhere and wins 7 or 8 games in a row to either get into the playoffs or just miss it, then I'd pick San Diego. But because it's early in the season, I'm going with New England.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to, unfortunately, go with New England Patriots, too. I think San Diego has all the capabilities to beat the New England Patriots. However, from what I saw last week, they don't know that yet. I think they need it later down the line. They will have that ability to do it, but it's not going to be this week. I'm going with New England. Yeah, let me refer to my notes.
Well, I picked San Diego on this one. And I'm scratching my head on it because I was looking at Tom Brady's stats, and they were just amazing. I mean, but I just got a gut feeling that San Diego's going to pull this one off and beat the Tom Brady's.
I'll have to go with San Diego in this one. Just like last week, I had the upset of the week, Chicago over Atlanta. This week, I will have the upset of the week, San Diego over New England in New England. New England usually plays great at home, but their defense is on the downhill right now, and Phillip Rivers is a way better quarterback than Chad Henne. It's not even close. And I think this is going to be the game. Phillip Rivers is going to surprise a lot of people. And Phillip Rivers, yeah, Tom Brady is going to have to hand the torch off to Phillip Rivers, and Phillip Rivers is going to show the league just how good he is. He's also my MVP pick, but that's falling down the line.
Yeah, tomorrow. Let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys going to town against the San Francisco 49ers. All four of us pretty much agree that Dallas has the offensive and defensive capabilities to beat the San Francisco 49ers next week. For Cincinnati Bengals going to Denver, all four of us agree Denver Broncos should take that one at home. And for St. Louis and New York Giants, Joe, myself, and Phil picked the New York Giants. Alex thinks St. Louis has the capabilities to beat New York. And for another game of the week, we have the Philadelphia Eagles flying to Atlanta to take on the Atlanta Falcons.
Matchup problems all around. Let's see. 2 high-scoring offenses.
Sorry, high-scoring?
High-scoring offenses.
What was Atlanta?
Okay, let's see. Week 1, there was a debacle. Matty Ice is Matty Ice for a reason. He has Roddy White on one side, he has Julio Jones on another. Let's not pretend like that's going to happen all throughout the season when he gets messed up like that. That being said, I'm still going to pick Philadelphia. But not for you. I'm not doing it for you.
Don't do it for me, do it for yourself and your stats.
Excuse me.
This has been a Dynasty commercial.
Alright, well, now that he picked Philadelphia, let's talk about my pick. I know you all waiting with bated breath to pick who think I was going to pick between Philadelphia and Atlanta. You know, a week ago, you told me that Atlanta and Philadelphia were going to play each other. I said, oh, you know what? Atlanta might take it. After seeing Atlanta last week, they're not going to take it. Not against a high-powered, offensive scoring Philadelphia Eagle team. Their defense was a little suspect last week on the little errors, but they took control later down the line. Philadelphia Eagles over Atlanta.
Well, I got Atlanta over Philly. I mean, Michael Vick didn't show me anything last week. I mean, they played against St. Louis. Their defense wasn't all that either. I think Atlanta's going to beat the Eagles easily.
I have to pick Philadelphia over Atlanta.
Can we rewind that?
It's hard for me to say, but I have to pick Philadelphia over Atlanta. Yeah, I really wrestled with this one. I don't know. Philadelphia over Atlanta. F it.
You don't have to say F it. You just need to realize that Philadelphia is a better team. Michael Vick goes to Atlanta next week. That's what's going to be the big talk in the town. So he can go visit and kill some dogs. But the bottom line is Philadelphia will defeat the Atlanta Falcons. As he said, he wants to be a hater. But good luck to Dallas. They'll be tied with us 1-1. That's very good because I thought Phil picked Atlanta here. But that's fine. He came to his senses. Phil was smoking before. That's why he thought it. But the effects are wearing out. I'm really proud of you. But that's it for us this week. Tune in next week. See how you did compared to us from last week if you want to. We have Phil coming in first place with 11 wins and 5 losses. Joe coming in second place with 10 wins and 6 losses. Me having a semi-bad week because I probably was sick or something at 9 wins and 7 losses. And Alex coming in dead last like his team with 6 wins and 10 losses. Okay? Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Enjoy football this weekend.